I told you that your constitutionally protected charter rights apply differently depending on where you are in Canada? I know that sounds like it makes no sense because your charter rights are constitutional law and that should be the same across the country. But different provinces have used their power to enact regulations and rules and laws related to areas within provincial jurisdiction to limit your charter rights. And so in British Columbia, the perfect example of this is if you're stopped and investigated for drinking and driving. If the police stop you and investigate you for a DUI, your charter rights are suspended at the beginning of the investigation. That's the same across Canada. But when the police officer does the breath test, after getting the roadside breathalyzer sample, a warrant or a fail, or if you refuse to comply with the roadside breathalyzer sample, your charter rights can continue to be suspended. Instead of everywhere else in Canada where they would be triggered and you would have the right to contact a lawyer and get legal advice and decide how you want to proceed, in British Columbia, police officers can choose to proceed by way of what's known as an immediate roadside prohibition and prohibit you immediately on the spot from driving for 90 days, take your car for 30 days, and give you a bunch of fines and other consequences as well. And all of this happens without you ever having the right to talk to a lawyer before all these consequences are imposed, without you ever having the right to challenge the consequences before they're imposed, other than if you blow a warrant or a fail, having the right to take a second test on a different roadside breathalyzer that doesn't have to be done after the opportunity to speak to a lawyer to find out whether or not it's worth doing the second test, and that doesn't have to be done in circumstances where the officer is going to ensure the reliability, like making sure there's a specific time period between the two tests like we would have with a criminal prosecution. All of your charter rights that you would ordinarily expect that arise upon failing a roadside breathalyzer test or refusing to comply with a roadside breathalyzer test just don't apply in BC if the officer chooses to proceed in a way that doesn't make them apply. And that's how the Charter